He was talking about getting a Yeti cooler that fits Kobe on the front of his boat. It's like, what the fuck is your problem? It's like, what? What are you planning on, like, selling them for sushi?
I were rolling.
I'll tell you that thing's come in handy though.
Big ass Yeti cooler.
Well, it's like the 40.
Yeah, he doesn't have a giant. No, I'm talking about like.
Yeah, like
He's talking about one he can lay them down in.
$1,000 ones.
Oh no, it's more than 1,000. I would think at least $1,000. I mean, you're looking.
On that new wilderness ride, right?
No,
on his boat.
Oh, I thought you were talking about this kayak. I thought that's what you were talking about. Oh, okay, that makes more sense.
That's still pretty stupid though.
That thing would be like half the size of his 160.
No, but he got Allie that sweet paddleboard.
That's
I'm gonna have to get on that.
All right.
Yeah.
You like that? Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna try it.
You want to do that, Kobe, with it? Yeah.
I just want to try it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they're getting a lot stabler. Yeah.
More stable.
More stable.
The only bad thing is the wind carries them bad.
Even that low?
Yeah.
I guess there's nothing in the water. It's just sitting on top of the water. I mean, there's no real keels on it.
Yeah, you have a fin.
Yeah, that's right.
But
There's a fin, and then the front too.
Well, the ocean kayak ones, they have, because they're plastic, they have molded in kind of fins to them. They're like a tri-fin, I believe.
Huh.
So there's, you can look
See,
at
hers
those.
has a longboard fin.
Right.
And then the front is kind of boat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a boaty or whatever hers is.
Yeah.
What hers is.
What's
Or whatever.
that?
How do you? I don't know.
I haven't looked into them enough
How
to
do you
know what they are.
announce that company?
Oh,
The
okay,
one
I
Linda
gotcha.
Cabot is with.
Yeah.
Down there in Florida. Boaty
They have
or
the-
boaty or whatever.
like the arc, the backrest arc on them.
Yeah.
Hers doesn't. But he did
Yeah.
get her a
But-
Yeti cooler for it.
Yeah. All right, we are live with 2 viewers.
People are tired of our shit.
People are tired of our shit already. It's not even summer yet. This is Kayak Kevin podcast number 11, and we got William Ragulsky again because of the time 2 weeks ago when I didn't hit record, and it's recording now because I see it. Like I said, that type of thing, you don't do that type of thing a couple times. You do that once, and then that's all. You mess up, you fuck up that bad. You want to make sure you don't do that again. So I'm gonna make sure I see that every time. Roll it way ahead of time. And William Ragulsky, Billy Ragulsky. This is how most people call you.
Anything.
Is he just put a website out called alloutkayakfishing.com, and we're gonna talk about a little bit about that. We're gonna talk a little bit more about his history, where he came from, his fishing history, all that good stuff. And then we got Lee over here who's feeling slightly under the weather, but he said he got a little scratchy throats.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's just winter. I mean, it's still winter. That's the thing. It was 70 degrees. When was that?
Saturday.
Yeah, it was 70 degrees. When was the last podcast we did? Thursday or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Thursday. Yeah, it was 70 degrees on Saturday, and now it's back to freezing again out there. Ice pellets and nasty. And it's supposed to. We were just talking before we hit record that not what we were just talking about, but we were talking before that was. Usually this time of year we're already gearing up for fishing time, and the water temperatures now are not even. They're 10 degrees lower than they should be.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should be tog fishing, which is
Okay,
50s.
so we should be thinking about 50s, and it's low, 41 to get today at the bridge.
Yeah, and it hasn't come up past that. It hasn't come like up to the 50s and then dropped down because of cold front. It's been solid, just cold.
It got to 43 the other day. The furthest back it spiked is
That was like
43
Saturday.
in the middle of the day.
Yeah, like
Saturday
boom,
when the
and
sun's
it-
blasting.
Yeah, and then just knocked back down again. So, yeah, so it's still winter here, and yeah. So Lee's scratchy voice,
Yeah.
and yeah. So we're gonna talk about some of that and all that stuff. But beer report.
Nothing special tonight.
Nothing special tonight. Just regular beers tonight.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah. Well, they're not just regular, but there's nobody local or anything. It's a
Yeah.
Stella Artois and Hogarden.
Cool. Yeah, it was funny because
Something my sister gave me that I won't.
last week when we had Beckley in here, and you talk about beers, and y'all actually got into like a real good conversation about beers, and then I realized later on, that's because it's Wisconsin. They beer is like that's the beer spot. It was cool. It was the way y'all
They
were
do
like,
everything.
into it up there.
They
It
make
was cool.
cheese and beer.
And ice fish.
And ice fish.
And they have to be drunk to do that.
Yeah. Oh, and then I saw today. It was one of the shows I was watching. It wasn't a hunting show, but it was I think it was Anthony Bourdain's show, and he's duck hunting. So I was like, oh, that looks fun. Oh yeah, no. I remember about that.
Disgusting, cold.
Yeah.
I mean, if I could just like if somebody went out there and set all my shit up.
But it's that early thing, and then
Yeah, I mean, if I could show up like if I could get up at 7, 8 o'clock, roll out there, set up, and I mean just blast ducks as they fly by. I mean, that's what's up.
But even like even on the show today, I was watching. It was like where if you were here just a half hour ago, it was too dark to film. So. Yeah, but yeah, hunting, and still haven't been fishing, so I don't even know.
Well, we didn't record his show, so we could talk about him going fishing.
Yeah, did you go fishing?
He had caught he had also caught that citation perch when he was here.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Did you didn't fish this past?
Yeah,
past
I
week,
did fish this weekend with Heroes on the Water.
Oh, cool.
And we actually went out of the hot ditch on Chesapeake Power, their
Oh,
property.
good. Yeah.
So
yeah,
we
yeah.
got, all day, I was just taking pictures, so running up and down and up and down.
And this is the Elizabeth River. The hot ditch is actually the hot water discharge at the power plant right there, which is the whole thing. It's the actual ditch that comes out of that. So that is the heated water. That is primary, but you can't fish it by boat or anything like that because it's actual channel. It's cut off. It's cut off. It's a real small channel and cut off.
Yeah.
You can't get in there. So you have to have permits and you have to ask permission to get on there. And so you guys went on there with how many people were on there?
I think there's over 40.
Damn, that's a lot.
With how veteran volunteers and volunteers. So.
Yeah.
And I think everybody caught fish.
Is anybody tagging?
Yeah.
Good. Usually somebody needs that's a.
I think we had 2 or 3 guys tagging and went through between 80 and 120 tags. So
Speckled trout and puppy drum.
speckled trout and puppy drum,
Little
a
reds.
couple of hickory perch, or hickory shad.
Oh yeah.
But the reds were going 15. I caught a 15 that was tagged, up to probably about 30. I think was our biggest.
30-incher?
Yeah. And earlier in the
15
week.
to 30 is a wide range.
Yeah, it is, and then there too.
Earlier in the week, I guess they had been catching like 34s and 36s in there too.
Wow.
So, definitely some nice reds in there. And
It's big for that little. It's just a ditch. I mean, it is just literally just a cut ditch.
yeah,
It's got stuff on it too, doesn't it?
a little bit.
Or I know
Not
the
a
mouth it does
whole-
from what you can see from
Yeah.
where we've seen before.
There's not a whole lot of bottom structure though.
Okay, so nothing gonna break off in these 30 inches running back
No.
and forth in this.
No,
ditch.
the biggest thing that you have to worry about is them going right at the riprap and staying deep. But
Oh yeah.
I don't think many people lost reds or any fish for that matter like
What was the
that.
biggest specs?
Biggest spec I think came in at 28.
Jeez.
Jeez.
There were 8 or 9 citations, a lot of little specs. I waited to
9
fish.
citations?
Yeah. I waited to fish until the very end of the day when everyone left, and actually started fishing with a fly rod yesterday, or Saturday.
Yeah.
And
That's the day to do it too.
a 5 weight. I had reds taking me damn near to my backing.
Well, I guess you didn't have to cast real far. I mean, it's like I remember it was windy. It was warm as hell. It
Yeah.
was 70 degrees, but it was blowing 50.
I mean, for the reds, we were making 30, 40-foot casts. For the specs, the bigger specs were coming off 50,
Yeah.
50-foot casts.
Yeah.
One of my buddies caught a 23 and a half on the fly. We started seeing them popping at the end of the day, and
Yeah. How big was the red you caught on the fly?
my big was about 25.
It's good.
Yeah. Well, and I was throwing an underweighted rod too. And so my arms are still sore, just like, okay, come on. Some of the knuckle busting going, palming the drag.
Yeah.
Man, I should have done that earlier. Handle hitting your knuckles. It's fun though.
Yeah,
But-
especially in there when that's a controlled area. I mean, it's fishing in a fishbowl in a sense, but you can't see them. It's not like you can sight cast to them.
No, but the biggest thing was, getting those guys on fish.
Yeah.
And, I mean, plenty of fish.
Yeah.
I'm easily out of that group.
Well, and especially there because that's such a fishing in a fishbowl, and that is a place to
Yeah.
do that. You take the guys out to Rudy or something like that. I mean, they're going to have a good time and feel good on the water, paddling around in the kayaks, but you want to get them on some fish, but sometimes
sometimes it's hard to,
Yeah.
get, especially that big of a group, everyone on fish.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think everyone caught at least 3 fish.
Yeah.
So they had a good
Killer.
day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely a good day.
Yeah. Reds and specks, too. That's
Yeah.
cool. No stripers, though.
No
No
stripes.
stripers. Just red specks and hickory shad.
Yeah.
No stripers. I'm surprised there's no stripers in there.
Yeah, I think the water might be a little bit warmer.
Yeah. Because that guys catch them on the outside by the bridge. I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, one
Yeah.
of my buddies fished over there over the weekend and caught a couple of specks and more striper than specks.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I think they hang on the pilings. I know. Yeah.
And
All the
stripers been warming up in the bay, though.
guys.
Big time.
Yeah.
Um,
We're on the bridge.
Further up in the bay, they're starting to make their spawning run back in. They normally follow the
Yeah,
shad.
it is that time of year.
And
Yeah, see, that's one thing. Me and Rick, we used to discuss, fish, what's happening with what is that do they go on water temperatures, or which I think this is the more better theory. They go on the daylight changes.
Yeah,
And daylight changes. They see the daylight's getting longer. Okay, it's time to go.
and I think water temps do have a big role in that, but I think more
But
so
for
than
spawning, but I think water temperatures have more for when
Yeah.
they are holding in the area.
Yeah, because if they're offshore, I mean, those water
they have
temps
to
are
come
going to be
through
warmer.
But it's warmer in the rivers.
Yeah.
But they have to go through cold water to get to there. So
Yeah.
if they're just trying to avoid that temperature water, they wouldn't come through. They would stop. So it's really, I think, as you think about it, it's more about this daylight, because no matter what, they have to go spawn. They have to go through. I don't care if they have to go through 35-degree water. They have to go through it to get to into the rivers.
And like the striper too, they're a little bit more tolerant of that than.
And they can move too. I mean, I imagine when they're moving like that, they probably, a body generates a little bit of heat, and they're moving, even though they're cold blooded.
Right.
Yeah.
But they're starting to see gannets and pelicans dive up in Richmond.
I heard the guy saying off HRBT lately.
I heard off HRBT, and I've also heard up off the Pocosin Flats.
Yeah.
And better classes of fish, not trophy fish.
What's
but
funny about that one time I went out, it was me and Shante. It was we went out there and off Ocean View, saw gannets right here off Ocean View, and we're like, okay, let's go. We're the big ones, right? We're thinking we're big ones. We get out there, we start casting on them, and we're seeing how the gannets are diving. They're diving and not diving deep because it's shallow here. They're diving and skimming under the water like this. So they're going and then popping up. I mean, almost like jumping out of the water because they have so much momentum hitting in and they're not swimming back up. They're going. So we started making casts into them, and we were catching 25-inch stripers. And these things, I think the gannets were going after 25-inch striper.
Yep.
I think they were going after striper, probably smaller ones. I thought they were probably
Yeah.
going after 18-inchers because they can eat an 18-inch fish. And there was no big baits out there. It was all small stripers chasing small baits, and the gannets were attacking the stripers. Because
that'd be something to see.
Well, I've seen a gannet with a striper lodged in his mouth. I've seen it. And it was off of it was on a boat, and Rick was with us. It was me, Rick, and another guy that was at the marina here, and we went out to the Eastern Shore. We just went out there. It was in April and gannets and stuff right there, and we saw a bird flopping in the water. We go, what's going on? And we're going to it, and the thing was. The striper was too big. Yeah, it was stuck in his throat, and he was choking. And gannets are huge, so that was probably a 25-inch striper that was stuck in him.
Yeah, gannets are big.
Yeah, so I think they would go after a smaller striper if there's a school striper.
And that reminds me of the last big kill we had, 6 years ago in Rudy, and we were seeing pelicans with red tails sticking out of their mouths.
Louder audio.
Yeah.
Louder audio. But the thing is that pelicans ain't gonna dive. I don't think pelicans would dive on a striper. I don't think pelicans could get a striper because they're too fast. Gannet can.
Yeah.
Because they can maneuver and swim as fast, especially in that first jolt, and especially if they're going like this. They have all this control.
Striper are stupid too.
Yeah. And they're more worried about their blitz. That's why they're on top. They don't care what's going to hit them on top. They're on top blitzing their shit, and they ain't worried about it. So it was interesting seeing that. Granted, we didn't see any gannets pop up with stripers in it, but I saw that thing over the eastern shore, and then I was only catching that and seeing what I was seeing. I'm pretty sure that it seemed like they were doing that. Yeah. So that might be, there's probably, I would say, a small chance if there's, maybe 1 out of 10 gannet schools that are dropping on the small striper or something. But the temperatures are getting up where we actually probably need to go. If we have a day this week, maybe we ought to go one night to HRBT. Stretch our arms out and paddle, and maybe make some casts.
Yeah, and I know over there in March, I didn't see anything.
Yeah.
What, a few weeks ago?
Yeah, it's still damn cold.
Someone asked if it was caught shad at the HRBT in the spring, and we know that those striper follow the shad up.
Yeah.
And we know the shad are up in Richmond right now, at the James and up in the other tidal rivers. So.
Yep. And I've caught them at the HRBT. I've caught them and targeted them actually. I've seen them moving.
Shad?
Yeah, the shad, and put on a small thing and target them like a small spoon, or I was using spec rigs.
Yeah.
Yeah, the small. Actually, I used one piece of it. I cut it and just used that one piece and cast that. Yeah, but they're jumping in.
Yeah.
They definitely at the HRBT. That was a question that we.
The good thing though about this right now is the long range forecast. Have a couple storms coming in, but I don't think anything really low enough to spike the water temperatures low. So I think we're going to start seeing more redfish, more specks, more striper.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to I don't think it's going to drop and get cold again. It's not going to freeze out because it's just once that warms up, and it's a steady warm up.
So now I think for guys getting out, especially in this area, it's just what are you willing to deal with? Are you willing to brave the elements to get out and get on fish? Because
but then we get these nice days where it's 70 degrees, but also when those days is blowing. I didn't get to paddle that day because it was blowing.
Yeah.
I was trying to just paddle laps. I was going to go paddle laps. I was like, oh, it's blowing.
Saturday was like 15 to 25 southwest.
Yeah. And then it turned more westerly in the afternoon. That's when I was going to go paddle. It was supposed to drop out. I was looking at the wind forecast. Okay, it's going to drop out to 10. I can paddle that, just to do 4 miles. I was going to do 4 miles. And I went out there and I looked and it was blowing straight down the cut. And I was like, it's like rapids back here. So I didn't go. I didn't do it. I just bike ride. Anything on there?
A catfish question. So when we're talking about catfishing, which we'll probably get to at some point, somebody wants to know where they can catch some keeper catfish that are safe to eat right now. You see
around here?
Pictures? Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
I'll tell you, Back Bay is always a good option. Because that's all tidal going into the Currituck Sound and, out through Oregon Inlet.
Yep.
But once you get up to the Virginia sections, that's fresh. And all those feeder rivers to Back Bay, North Landing, Northwest, you have that water.
It's fresh water. Pretty much.
And that is cleaner water.
Yeah.
That doesn't have the history of pollution like the James and the other tribs do.
I guess they are still...
And
the bottom sediments. I mean, the Keepone shit was a big deal back in, was it 40 years ago?
Well,
30 years ago?
Yeah, 70s, a lot of this water was super fun sight, so.
Yeah. Well, then there was a Keepone spill. There was a spill in Richmond that, really polluted the James. It was, I don't know what Keepone, I forgot what it was. It was some kind of chemical, some kind of manufactured chemical, but it was terrible. Yeah. I mean, it wiped some shit out and killed some shit, and it was... It was, and then the problem was the sediment, and then it was for long years after that they were worried about that.
But if guys want catfish, I mean, in this area, Northwest, North Landing,
that would be the best because of the little bit of the water actual that moves through there.
You have some current. Yeah. There's some big cats coming in too because the shad are going up. Just like we're talking with the striper. The catfish are following those shad.
Oh, but then how predatory are they?
You get the flatheads.
Some catfish, man, they're biting people's lures, attacking rattle traps and spinner baits and stuff.
You get the flatheads that, they'll take live bait readily. The blue cats, kind of more opportunistic feeders, but if you have bait on the bottom, it's not moving around a whole lot. You might have, 3-4 foot on a Carolina rig that bait's really going to be moving, in a diameter. I think that's enough, even cold weather, for those cats to go find. But I know down on the Northwest, they've been talking down toward the state line and some of the bigger holes They've been finding 30 and 40 pound blue cats.
Down there.
Yeah.
Huh. See, yeah, I always hear about James River
Richmond,
being
Hopewell.
being the big ones, and I get that's a big body of water, man.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some big ones in the Suffolk and Norfolk lakes too, and I mean, I've eaten them out of there. And right now, this time of year,
Bigger
I'll be fishing in like the deep holes,
But
the deepest holes with cut bait, and in the deepest holes, you're gonna be able to cut or catch white perch. You can put them down too.
Yeah.
I mean, perch is one of the best catfish baits.
well, okay, then I guess each catfish is going to taste different, right? The ones that are the predators are going to taste a little bit different than the ones that are more of the opportunity.
People eat more predator catfish like channel cats and the small blue cats,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
don't
not so
know a
much
whole lot of
flatheads.
people that eat flatheads.
Right, and they're the ones that are actually the carp.
Well, no,
No,
they're
flatheads are
aggressive
like-
though. They eat everything.
Oh, okay, so they'll attack live baits also, but
Oh,
they're
yeah.
not.
Well, no,
They're more
flatheads are
aggressive.
like more predatory.
Yeah.
I guess the blues and the channels are a little bit more kind of filter bottom feeder
Yeah.
type,
Yeah.
more the carp.
Yeah.
But I guess people will eat. I don't like catfish a whole lot, but people love them.
I don't know, one time I had it and I was like, nah, I don't like freshwater fish taste. It's too fishy. It's too like straight fishy.
But yeah, just the tidal rivers. That's
So
where they wanna look right
what
now.
about if somebody went to Lake Smith, which is would that be a medium or small lake?
I mean, it's medium
medium.
sized, but I've seen people eat them out of there.
Yeah. I mean, no, that's,
And that
that's
place
all,
is shallow.
right.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
like
If
8
you can
feet
if you
in
can
the
find a
deepest.
Right.
10-foot hole, you're doing
Yeah.
well.
You're,
So it's just
you're
warm.
probably depth finder's probably wrong. So you can find a 10 foot hole. I think
So-
most I've ever seen in there is 8.
So they're just cooking in there, right? Because that thing's hot. How hot does that thing get?
In the
I mean,
summer,
in the summer,
it's in the mid 80s.
Yeah.
So you just hot catfish right straight out of the grill.
Yeah, they're talking about people want them right now.
Oh,
Fish
yeah.
are going to be better tasting right now in the cold
Yeah.
water anyway.
Yeah.
Somebody else asked like about a seat for a drifter. Good seat for a drifter. We use the Surf to Summit seats when you
Surf
can
the
find
Summit
them.
has a seat made for drifter. They actually made for the old drifters, which were the seat wells were at the water level, which your butt was actually always wet if you didn't have scuppers. But it's got a cushion on the butt that's probably 3 inches,
Yeah.
because it would really set you up. So if you have a low, the Surf to Summit has a seat. It's the drifter seat, I think.
Surf to Summit has one.
Yeah. Well, that's the ones we use.
Yeah.
And another thing I saw today, a guy was
that's-
a guy today was looking at the Trident 13, or was trying to sell his Trident 13 to get the big game. And I was like, have you paddled the big game yet? I mean, what do you I didn't get into him with him. I asked him that, and I should have really asked him, what are you trying to do? Are you just trying to fish lakes and you want the big game because it's better but then he did say in there that he was going to go out, and do some red hunting or something like that, big red hunt, that's going to be a big boat to paddle out there. So, I don't know.
Well, and, I mean, one of the things that people don't realize too, when you got those big boats, big wide boats with elevated seating,
The wind.
you need to look at your paddle too.
Oh, yeah. I changed paddles. I had to change paddle styles. Yeah.
Because I mean,
A higher angle.
Yeah.
Because when I'm in a high seat, it's a higher angle. I use a low angle paddle, so then I use a high angle paddle when I'm in the high seat boat.
And I mean, for a lot of fishermen, most of us don't think about our paddle stroke.
Oh yeah.
But when you really think and you really want efficiency, you're doing longer trips.
I do.
It's so important.
Yeah, I do just because I like paddling. I'm a paddler,
Right,
yeah.
So I practice technique while The thing is about paddling technique, it's you always have to readjust and make sure you're doing it right, because I forget when we slunge forward. We check each other on the water. We slunge forward and stuff and we go posture. And we all, that's right. Because Jay's probably the worst. And he made us go, okay, we need probably all fix this, because he was leaning real far forward, kind of digging in.
Using his
his muscles and
traps.
stuff. And then I was like, I looked at him and was like, oh, we all need to do, straighten up and all that stuff. So yeah, the posture on that, yeah. So the efficiency when you're paddling, yeah, and it depends on what your paddles. Like I said, I'm a low paddle stroke.
Yeah.
What paddle you use?
I use a low angle.
Yeah.
I use the Warner Kalles.
Kless, yeah. So that's like the Calamino. Also, it's kind of that same.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a
Kless is the higher
end.
end one. That's the one. Yeah. Totally. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had one.
Yep. Actually, you're using it in the DVD in the talk section. You have it in a lot of those sections, because that's 2010 where those were
Right.
filmed. But I know what I was getting at. But the
The ocean.
Yeah, ocean.
Big game.
big game. But his thing was the seat. He said the seat in the 13 sucks. Well, yeah, they do. They're not the best seats. They're not the most comfortable, form-fitting seats. I mean, the ones they have now are fitted into the boat where they have screws in them. What I've done now is just taken the seat that we use, the low back seat and the Surface Summit seat that we use, and I cut the back piece off the seat that comes with the boat, and I just use the bottom piece as an extra piece, and I put the other seat on top of it. Yeah. So it still has the seat that's originally there. The butt piece is fine with another added piece to it, and then my seat that I'm always using anyway, that I've always used, because we use low back seats, which is also different than a lot of people because they want a high back. But the thing about high back seats is when you're paddling, your back really shouldn't be touching the seat. It should be upright and mobile. It should be the pivot point. If your back rubbing, then you're not paddling right. You're kicking back too hard, and you're putting strain probably on your hips at that point. So yeah, that's why a low back seat is good, because most paddling, sit inside kayaks are all just right here, right? The smaller your back, and that's it, and the rest of your body's mobile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have built-in seats, and you have your seat pad. It's that back strap.
Yeah, that's it, and that's what they were. But I had a big seat on my tour boat because when I did want to chill out, it was so nice to lean back this. But when I was paddling, I loosened it, so that wasn't there anymore, and it was just right here. And then when I wanted it was way back up top, because I had the big ass seat, the big
the
Pro
Expedition.
That thing. Yeah, it was a really little loungy chair, and I still have it too. I'm still, I don't even use that boat anymore. I just have that seat.
Yeah, they are nice seats.
All right. we went on a lot of this stuff before on the last time you were here, and we didn't record it. But let's go over a little bit of your history, where you're from. You're from Colorado.
Yeah.
Did you do a lot of fishing when you were in Colorado as a kid?
Yeah, I grew up fishing.
Okay. That was another question that I brought up with Beckley. That he came here and he was all good already, and that was that's the thing. It's like you didn't just come here and start fishing. You actually were fishing at home and came here and discovered fishery here. But what was were you doing more rivers and?
We were doing lakes with my father. Grew up. Our first boat that I can remember was a canoe.
Yeah.
So grew up fishing out of a canoe with my dad. Calm lakes, rainbow trout, crappie, bluegill, perch, typical cold water species. Mm-hmm. And I moved. I would spend my summers up in Montana, and then fishing rivers and creeks and.
You did a lot of hunting also as a kid. I mean, you had to out there. I mean, that's not. I seen when you went home for Christmas. Yeah, you got some hunting in, but that's part of that up there. Definitely.
Yeah, is that outdoor lifestyle? Boy Scouts, so did a lot of camping, backpacking, stuff like that.
Yeah, out there. Yeah.
And actually, through that is where I learned to kayak fish.
Through the
Boy Scouts. We'd take Old Town otters, I guess, city sides.
Yeah.
And that's what they'd have at scout camps. And after the day was over, go to the lake, pull those otters out, and start casting little spinners for trout.
That's cool. Yeah.
That's where my love started. Then came out.
Do you remember?
Here.
So that was your first kayak fishing when you were a kid. Yeah. Basically, it was before kayak fishing
10, 11 years. And as a kid, it's like, boy, I want to get to these spots, and I can't. I mean. What we got into, I can't get to these spots from shore, so I'll take whatever I can. And it didn't matter if it's a kayak, a john boat, a canoe.
Yeah, canoe. It didn't matter, just as long as you
let me get out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little afternoon. You're not really going far. You're just getting out there and just making a couple casts, coming back in. Do you ever remember when you hooked one and you got pulled around? Anything big enough?
These lakes, not really. We're talking like 9-10 inch, stalker sized trout. Or,
a 9-10 inch croaker might, but
not those trout. And I mean, this is all up in the mountains, so you don't have big catfish or
nothing like that.
Carp.
Smallmouth is up. Do they have those up there?
Kind of stocked in some of the lakes around Denver, but not up in the mountains. Not like up in Pennsylvania or Maine.
Yeah.
Where it's really big up there.
Yeah.
But
no bass either, so it's just trout.
Trout.
I mean, crappie and Did you? So then you joined the Marine Corps, and were you just stationed here? Where else?
No, I was stationed in Okinawa.
Okay.
So we did some spearfishing in Okinawa.
Yeah.
And really, unfortunately, didn't get in the hook and line fishing.
Yeah.
That's where my love for kayaking really flourished. So.
Yeah. Well, the water's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crystal clear, and I mean, we use kayaks to get out to snorkel spots.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Yep.
we'd paddle out to islands and right off reefs, and one side of the reef it's 20 foot.
Yep.
Another side of the reef it's 200 foot.
I remember I used to walk. Used to walk it. So I used to
Yeah.
walk the inside reefs and just you could see it was just you could see the whole area. I mean, blue water.
Yeah.
It was really amazing. Yeah.
So did that out there, came out here, and this is where I really grew my love for saltwater fishing.
How long have you been here? How long have
I've
you
been
fishing?
here combined about 11 years now.
Okay, so that was your last station was here.
Yeah.
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 So I mean, started flounder fishing, croaker, a little bit of striper,
Mhm.
but my notable catches, back 2003, 2004, that was flounder.
Yeah.
Was able to find good sized flounder.
HRBT.
No, actually, over on NOB, there's a little fishing pier.
Yeah, I know. Yep.
And-
Yep. Yep.
I caught a couple citation flounder
Yeah.
off that.
That's a real good spot, actually. And you can fish kind of that, I guess that point there, I think there's a jetty there also.
Yeah,
you
there's
can
a
fish.
jetty
You can-
there.
You can fish from a boat. You can
Yeah,
go to
you can
it.
fish from a boat.
It used to be real tight where nobody can get near there.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's almost, that spot, it's also a good tog spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's almost worth paddling over there.
Well, and it's one of the things people don't realize at the bay because of the military presence. You have tog spots all throughout the bay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All you have to do is do a little bit of homework.
Yeah. Yeah.
See what was on a map before
Especially-
and what's not on a map
right
now.
here in the Hampton Roads area, in the James River area, there's rock piles out there.
yeah.
There's structure. There's stuff that has been demolished. That the dowsing stations that have been taken
Yep.
down. And there's still shit down there. I mean, there's a lot of
Yep.
there's a lot of stuff here. But paddling wise, they're kind of out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You really have to do your homework.
Yeah, yeah. Do your homework. Know where the channels are, where the shipping channels, because you're not gonna just get run over aimlessly.
Yeah.
Because it's shallow everywhere, and then you got
Except-
the channels.
yeah.
Yeah. You got your turn basins. You got your anchorages and all that stuff.
Yeah, you're looking like 4 or 5 foot average depth.
Yeah.
And the James from the HRBT back, except for in the channels.
Yep.
So
And there's some deep areas, natural areas.
Yeah.
In the James from channels. Yeah, right there at Hampton. Right there at that point is where the Modern
Yeah.
Merrimack is. That's a deep natural hole. And right Fort Monroe.
Yeah.
There's a 100-foot hole there. That's natural.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
So it was really interesting. When I remember my dad taking me there croaker fishing. I was like, it's 100 feet here. You're looking at the depth finder, it's 100 feet. So we're dropping, we're catching croaker and they're coming up freezing in the summertime.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So that was really weird that and it's weird if you're not a angler, if you don't know water, you would never know that some spots in the middle of somewhere, a wide open spot is shallow. Like
Yeah.
you drive across the Chesapeake Bay Bridge tunnel and you hit the shoals and you can literally stand up out there at low tide. Yeah. Yeah. And it's people who drive across there. What was that breakers? I saw this crazy surf right in the middle of the bay. I was like, yeah, it was shoals.
But no, there's a lot of amazing water, and I mean that goes to a thing actually kind of dealt with last week. Was if you are willing to do your homework, I mean, number one, you'll get a lot more respect instead of something just being given to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not hard.
Yeah.
Take some time, look at maps,
Yeah.
and you'll figure it out. And
Maps are a big thing. Knowing your area. Working at a tackle shop, man. Guys would come in and go, ask about the area. I'm like, okay. And, as I'm trying to chisel away at what they know, or what they can, as a, guy trying to help a guy, you gotta, when you first meet him, you kind of have to chisel away. Maybe you don't want to overshoot him and go, give him information that's way over the head.
Yeah.
Or you don't want to undershoot him and insult him, so
Yeah.
you gotta have to make a judgment call, and there's a lot of stereotype, which sucks.
Yeah.
You got to stereotype a little bit, and but then if I did fuck up, I would apologize to him. Like, oh man, I'm sorry. I thought, didn't realize you were more advanced. Then I jump up and I really give him good info. But that's the thing is, a lot of guys would come here and not even haven't looked at a map yet.
Yep.
I haven't even looked at a map yet. I was like, wait, man, just stop, look at Google Earth, and just look at the area. Just
Exactly.
stop and look at the area.
What's this anomaly here?
Yeah.
Like talking about driving over the Bay Bridge Tunnel.
Yeah.
Why
is that?
why did I see that?
Yeah, what is
You know, why is that a lighter point on the map?
driving
than
over to
anywhere
HRBT?
else?
Why are these line of breakers always out here?
Yep.
What is that? Yeah, that. And then you look over to the western side, and there's stripes of them. I was like, what are these little break? Yeah, there's because there's sloughs and divots all through that area.
Mm-hmm.
That western side of HRBT, you can drift that and just 5 foot of water, catch flounder in these little holes like all day long. It's crazy. It's wide open.
And I mean, learning how to read the water.
Well,
I remember back in the day when I first started, I was looking at surf fishing books.
Yeah.
How can I read these breakers?
Yep.
You know, okay, how do I know if there's a rip? And then thinking about it, if I were a fish,
Yep.
I'm not going to want to put a lot of effort for my meal. I'll sit right here.
Yep.
Sit on the edge of that rip.
Yeah. Well, that's in the second DVD. I referred when there's a part where I'm describing how to navigate the shoals. You know, like kayaking through the shoals. So if you can read them, you got it. You know, and then I made a reference to the surf guys. The surf guys, you already know this shit.
Yeah.
You know, basically, I said you already know it. You already know this is just remedial to you. Okay, but if you look at this and the breakers here and you start to build, then it breaks and that's where you you know. All that, if you learn all that and figure all that, you can do it, you can know anything, and then where the fish are lined up. I mean, because you can look like just flat water. When there's a little ripple right there, a little ripple, just a little, there's something happening, so you figure that out, and figure out what's happening, and then start fishing around it.
And I mean, it's so much better going and doing that, and doing your homework and finding your own spots.
Yeah.
You know what? You might catch a 18-inch red.
Yeah.
And you might go to Lynn Haven and catch a 22-inch red. But that 18-inch red is going to be much more rewarding than going to the same spots everybody goes to.
Well, one thing I've heard both sides of this argument, right? You know, get your time, do your dues, and learn your fishing, and you know, by doing, right? You know, all that stuff. But then there's guys who are like, well, you know, a lot of us don't have that much time to do that. We want to be able to catch the bit higher quality fish that take time to do it, but we can't put the time into it. And it kind of sucks because a lot of that type of stuff, you do need to put your time into it.
Yep.
I mean, it sucks. It sucks.
And a lot of people aren't just going to tell you that anyway.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
That's a catch-22, but I mean, I don't know how many vacation days or how much sick
you
time
know
I've
how many
taken.
years it took me to chisel the mystery of the hot ditch before internet?
Yep.
I mean, it took me 3 years to catch a fish out of that. That's
Right.
crazy.
Well, and you know, like we were talking about last time, which wasn't recorded, by the way, but going out there, I had a great year at the hot ditch this year. A lot of really good trout, or that area, I should say.
Yeah.
Before that, I couldn't get anything over 18 to save my life.
Yeah.
And
it's also the year.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
this year
Last year
was a good
banner
year.
year
Yeah.
for
there are
big
big cycle
Yes.
trout everywhere.
Right.
this
That's
year.
so, and just like guys wanting to come down here for striper, some year it just fucking sucks. Some 3 years in a row it just sucks.
Right.
Just a whole bunch of
But
suck.
for 4 years before that,
It was phenomenal.
on like crazy.
Yeah. So that type of stuff, unless it's just hard. This area, it's not like Florida where it's really consistent weather-wise, consistent fish-wise, consistent sea. We don't have a consistent anything. We have weathers that's insane. We have migrating fish that move in and out. We have fluctuations of sizes and, you know, managements and all this stuff. But yeah, it's hard to be that guy who I can't put the time in, but I want to catch the bigger fish. You got
You need to put the time in fishing what you can fish for, man. You'll learn, and you'll work your way up, and you'll figure it out.
And also, if you put your time in, maybe you'll get that shot.
Yep.
Getting out there first time, and boom, running into them,
Right.
and catching them.
And
Now
having
you got it. Yeah.
good attitude too.
Yeah.
Going out there not so pessimistic. Going out there saying, you know what, might not happen today, but I'm ready if it does.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're a recreation, you're a guy who's just trying to go out there and catch fish. I mean, if you're out there trying to catch citations, you're a different hunter. You're going to be frustrated.
Yeah.
And you're also
asking
going to
for
have
it.
to put in time as well.
Yeah, and you already know that if you're actually hunting for a citation.
Yep.
If you're out there trying to catch a red, you're going to be way better off. Because you might catch a 43-incher. And you better be fucking happy you just caught a 43-incher for your first red, because that's going to fight harder than a 50-incher.
Right.
Most definitely.
All right, where were we?
So I came out here. This is where I grew up. I kind of got my love for saltwater fishing.
Well, you didn't have or besides Okinawa. Did you when you were a kid? Did you ever go to the coasts?
I mean, up Pacific Northwest, like Oregon, Washington
So
State.
you've been around. You've seen before a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, really, the Marine Corps was my first experience to saltwater as an adult.
What made you join the Marine Corps? Parents, dad? Dad?
I had my dad was in the Air Force, and he wanted me to join the Air Force. I was the type of student, I was smart enough to get good grades. I made the decision not to. And so it's like, okay, what am I going to do? I'm not going to school. And I got in an argument with my parents, and my dad said, whatever you do, don't join the Marine Corps. Wouldn't you know it, the Marine Corps recruiter calls me up after this argument. It was like it was meant to be.
Later on, did your dad say like that's what I wanted you to do?
No,
he
wanted me to join the Air Force, and it's still like, man, I wish I'd have been like Beckley and joined the Air Force. Been smart, man.
Yeah.
But no, that is what it was. I mean, I knew I had to do something.
Yeah.
And it was just an opportunity. I go into the recruiter. I played football, in high school, and so I'm in there in my Letterman jacket, and. Oh yeah, that looks cool. And I wasn't planning on doing it. I honestly planned on going there to piss my dad off to let him know I did.
Yeah.
And I'm getting ready to walk out, and the recruiter says, "Yeah, not everybody has the balls," or something like that. And 18 years old, I'm like, "Oh, hold on a second. Here's my pair. Show me where to sign." Call my parents up. "Yeah, I'll be home tomorrow. I'm going to MEPS."
Oh shit! So you went in and signed and went in.
Went in. Then that was February, March of my senior year. Then I went in the summer.
But you had signed up, You had already signed up,
Yeah, I mean it was pretty much all said and done. So.
Yeah, me, I wasn't. My grandparents, my grandfather, and dad wasn't in the military, but I grew up here.
Yeah.
So I was always around military, and it got to the point where I was like, okay, I need to do something too.
Yep.
Yeah, I was a kid that wasn't doing shit, and I was like 22, so I was a little bit later, and I wasn't gonna join the Navy because I live here by the Navy. Wasn't gonna join the Air Force. Wasn't gonna be stuck in Wisconsin somewhere. Right. And then didn't want to join the Army because that's also you can be put inland.
Yeah.
Marine Corps by the water.
Yep.
Somewhere, right? It was before. It was before any of the desert shit started happening. So it was like it was all rain. It was like water. Yeah, it was all about water.
And I'll tell you, like that was awesome for me.
Yeah.
And that has really formed who I am as an adult.
The thing is about the military, if you are a kid that ain't got shit going on, they give you shit they going on.
Yeah. They pay for school.
It's badass. If you're any gung ho at all, it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I love boot camp. I'd pay to go to boot camp and then if I didn't have to run. I would pay to go do 3 months of boot camp because it was fucking fun as shit.
I'll tell you, some of the funniest stuff I ever heard was in boot camp.
Oh, heard.
Stuff
I've seen was it was. I mean,
not
straight,
like totally not repeating on the podcast.
I guess some stuff I could tell. It's like that straight, like not full metal jacket. They didn't hit us. When did you go in?
2001.
Oh, okay. I went in 92.
Yeah.
So okay, they're not hitting you anymore.
No, but it's still.
It's way
still
more
intense.
mental. But Full Metal Jacket made me want to join the Marine Corps. Yeah.
Well,
made me want to join the Marine Corps. I was like, that's crazy. I want to do that.
The night before I shipped off, we're watching Full Metal Jacket. My mom, my dad, my sister, myself.
They're trying to scare you.
No,
okay.
It just came on TV like miraculously, and we're like, we'll watch it. And my dad's laughing. And my mom is crying.
I bet.
Oh no, what have you got yourself into? I'm just like, again, 18, full of testosterone, and I can do anything. And I'm like, okay.
One of the funniest things I saw was we had already gone through the registration. We already had done the 3-day stand up. They already broke us down.
Yeah.
So we're in our first morning of actual platoon boot camp, and the 80 drill instructors, it seems like, come in, right? It's you have 3, but we come in at the beginning. You have guys extra coming in, and it's like 10 of them. So it's crazy ravenous dogs everywhere barking at you, right? And so you're up online, and the guy there's a missing spot, and the guy in front of me is still asleep in his bunk, like asleep with his covers pulled over his head like this.
Oh no!
And the drill instructor's like, I can smell it, but listen, he sees him up there, and you can see like dogs getting up to him, and they getting up to him, they tap on his head, and he lifts up all gently, quietly, dreaming asleep, and they look at him. Are you in a nightmare? He jumps up. They attack him like dogs, like on a rabbit. He's skipping across top bunks. They take the beds and fucking just push him like dominoes. He's falling off the back of him. They just jump on him, man. It was crazy. That was my first day in the Marine Corps, and I was like, fuck yeah, this is crazy.
I'd be like, how the fuck can I get out of here?
No, that was what I wanted. I wanted the full chaotic, can you handle it shit. That's what I wanted. I was fucking 22 and, I needed a challenge. It was basically the same thing. I was hitting a point, you hit a point as a man or a kid at that point and you go, fuck, I gotta do something, and yeah.
I got a quick story for you. So we're up in Camp Pendleton. I went to San Diego for boot camp. Mm-hmm. So all the field
Hollywood
stuff we do up,
Call you Hollywood.
Hey, screw it, man. We have hills. You got sand fleas, we got hills.
Yeah,
it's a trade-off there.
Yeah.
But we're up in Pendleton and we're on the range, and our platoon had they say the most safety violations of any platoon in the history of. I wasn't one of them, thank God. But we had a lot though. Needless to say, probably at least a third of our platoon got safety violations on the range. They take us back to the bricks, and
what's funny
they
is
destroy
when
us.
you're on the range, you're supposed to be less stressed because you're handling weapons. So they back off the stress during shoot week, shoot 2 weeks. You shoot
you pre-qual, then
snap
qual.
in, and then you qual. Yeah. So they should lay off of you. I guess you guys were too much of a fuck up.
So they empty all of our foot lockers. They take. Up there we got foot powder, so they take all caps off all the foot powder, throw it all over the squad bay, all the toothpaste, all the shaving cream, everything. So it's just this
pasty,
messy,
stucky,
dusty paste.
Yeah.
Well, and then they make us cross-country ski around the squad bay, so it's just getting nasty everywhere. And then the one thing that they didn't do was they never messed with our linens. So, always kind of put those aside because you have 1 day a week for that they launder them.
Yeah.
So they decide to make us wear the linens. And I don't know what got over me, but they're yelling and screaming. And I thought they were all away from me. And I go, boo! And what do you know it right away? Do you think you're Casper? Blah, blah, blah. And then I grow facial hair kind of quickly, and so I had a 5 o'clock shadow. It's the end of the day.
Right.
They're like, oh, unsat shave, and they took all that goop and concoction, and just found a razor laying around. Shave. And I'm like, oh, this is horrible. Oh no. Yeah, my life is miserable. Mm-hmm. But yeah, lot of fun stuff and memorable.
Boot camp was controlled chaos because it was controlled. It was never you felt like you were going to die or nothing. It was never that. And it was really good because you're never alone. Yeah. Never alone. No matter how bad you felt, brother next to you is fucking as miserable as you were. And if you were slipping, he could always go bump up. It was so you got that. If you didn't guys who like me, didn't go to college. That was your college bonding.
Yep.
No fucking girls, but you had the college bonding. So that was there's definitely great lessons and great stuff you can get out of being if you join the military as a kid that doesn't have shit going on. Well, if you got shit going on, you can understand it.
Yeah. But you don't have a family structure. Yeah. You get that through the military, any service. You get that brotherhood. Yep. To where it's like, hey, Semper Fi, and you might not even know that person existed until right then. Yep. And then, oh, hey, what's up, brother? Let me buy you a beer. And that's a lot of, that's one of the big reasons I like working with Howe, too.
Yeah.
We get a lot of Marines in this area that we work with, and hey, man,
And for you're just out too, so you're right in these guys' age groups, and you had pretty much served with these time frames with these guys,
the same combat experiences, same environments.
So I didn't see any combat. I was in Clinton, and it was like as slack as you could be. It was just so cut back. I imagine it's getting there. It's starting to get cut back again, but there in Clinton when I was in, it was pretty bad. It was pretty slim pickings for stuff, like training stuff. Yeah, I had weapons that were just rickety.
Yeah. I mean, that's the Marine Corps in general. And we get everything the Army and Air Force doesn't want.
Yeah. Remember one of my rifles. It was so loose that if I oiled it too much, it would just shoot shit all up my face. Because there's a gap where it opens up. So that gap between there was just loose. It was rickety as hell. It was. If I oiled it, after I just cleaned it, it would just every time. But after 5, 6, after a magazine, pretty much it would be all right.
And that stuff was horrible too. I think CLP causes cancer. Just so you know.
It hasn't done shit yet. I like the smell of gunpowder, so it was all right. But the oil, it was the oil that was it was just all over the place.
Yeah. And
it was slimy too. Yeah, it was all rickety. After a while, But
all nasty and
it was cool when I was when I was in and they were like we're going to the shoot calls. Shooting was my favorite time in it altogether. That was the best time. That was the best 2 weeks. I would go even snap. I would go for a snap in week and do all that just because it was getting in tune with my rifle, getting all zinned out with it, the breathing, all that. I just loved that whole process. And I was always a good shooter as a kid. So when you in boot camp, we go, if you shot as a kid, you're gonna suck here, right? And all that. But I actually shot good. I had marksmanship skills as a kid, like natural.
Well, so you probably had the right marksmanship skills.
the right ones. I knew it. I knew it, and I shot first in my platoon, second in the company.
Nice.
Yeah, second in the company, and on my was it Wednesday, Thursday, the 2 days before, I think it was, I shot perfect. I mean, I shot I think it was like the highest, 500-yard lines I was never ever missing.
Really?
Never ever missing. At 300 yards, I shot, sitting 300 yards, I shot, right? You gotta put the spindle in, I shot the spindle out.
Nice.
They brought me the spindle, I was like, Whitley! You shot the spindle. I didn't know it, but so, I mean, I was just good, I was just real good, but, they put me as a electrical equipment repair specialist, 1142, so I sat in the shop.
So you came in open.
I came in with 3. I wanted to be a heavy equipment operator. Heavy recruit, that's what I really wanted to do. Forklifts, like when I was driving the marina, that's what I wanted to do. I figured that was a good one that I could do afterwards.
Yeah.
But they put me in electrical equipment specialist, and I don't like it. I never did it after that. I never did it. I wasn't good at it. I blew shit up. I really blew more shit up than I fixed. I mean, it was an F&E shop, so we repaired alternator starters and generators, and I really destroyed more equipment. Just wasn't good with it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just wasn't good with that stuff. I mean, should have got me stuff where I could blow up or, something, or good at blowing up stuff. But, yeah. Okay, we went on a long tangent about the Marine Corps. But that's a funny shit. That's funny shit. So, it's all funny shit. And that's,
It's
all
a
right.
good time.
Back to fishing. So now you're out, and what do you do for work?
I work over at the Naval Hospital right now.
Okay.
So I'm the division head of all the web-based and regulatory training for the command.
Okay.
And all the 9 different branch clinics all throughout 50-mile radius of Portsmouth.
Damn.
So
It's a pretty good job. Pretty heavy job. You got a lot. Seems like you got a lot to do with that.
There's a lot.
The name of it sounds like it's.
There's a lot to do.
Yeah.
It's definitely high yield in the output that we do. And kayak fishing is actually kind of brings it up another. I used to love to drink an awful lot of beer, and it got to the point where I knew that was going to be a very bad thing for my lifestyle.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of brought me back to the kayak fishing.
Getting you outside again.
Let me get outside. Let me go fish. Let me do something physically active. to the point where I can't be out there hungover. I can't be out there drunk.
Yep.
You know, I need to
It's what it did for
have
me
my
too.
wits about me.
It's what it did for me too. I was leaving the music scene.
Yeah.
So I was weaning a lot of bad habits.
Yeah.
And yeah, it totally gave me that. It gave me that opportunity, and yeah, totally. It changed. When I say, I don't say it a lot because it's always seems cliche, but kayak fishing changed my life.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. I mean, I was in a different world. I was a whole different person basically before I started doing it.
Well, and I think you can take a look at a lot of people. You know, just
Yeah.
look at how passionate and how quickly people become passionate about
Yeah.
the sport.
Yeah.
You know, it is a life.
It doesn't take you. You don't have to get advanced to become super in love with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like you have to work really hard to get to a level where you really enjoy it. Like whatever sport there, it takes super skill to get to.
Oh, yeah.
Just the sport itself of floating your ass in a little boat on the water is enjoyable.
Well, here,
And then you move up to the catching fish with it.
I mean, my first kayak I bought was an otter.
Oh yeah.
Again, going back to,
you knew what it was
15 years
about.
before.
You knew what it was about. Yeah.
and, so I was fishing the inlets with that, and I'm a big guy and that's a
Yeah.
small boat.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
you
I
started fishing waves
quickly-
around here, and you're like, whoa.
Well, I went to the Lesnar once and I managed to anchor up in that. And
that's so
that-
dangerous.
That became so bad. Anchor got stuck and
Left
I
that
lost like two other anchors.
Ugh.
And I'm not losing this anchor.
Ah,
So I'm yanking and water's coming inside the cockpit. And
it
I'm
ain't
like,
coming out.
Oh no,
It's a
this
sitting
is
side.
bad.
It's a recreational
Yeah.
sitting side.
And finally anchor broke and I'm going back and I'm being pushed toward the shoals, toward the Bay Bridge tunnel.
Yeah.
And I was like, I look back and I'm like, oh no.
It's a bad spot.
And basically doing everything I can, all my strength just to get to shore.
Mm-hmm.
And I must have sat there like 15, 20 minutes just like, oh, I'm done with that.
Yeah.
Empty out the yak and I was like, I'm not going to paddle back in against the current.
It's a bad
And-
spot. It's a bad spot. And the thing
Yeah.
is about that spot is it's Lynn Haven's like a place everybody goes.
Yes.
So they just, bridge, no big deal, but they get there and the current's crazy.
Yeah. I fish some crazy spots and some crazy current, but I don't fish out there anymore.
Yeah. We don't. We fish there around a slacker and we leave. We go somewhere else. I mean, that's it. You get that slack and that's all.
I mean, I think the last time I went out there, I was in a native ultimate, and it was slack.
Yeah.
But current was starting to come back in.
Yeah.
And it's like always that sit inside, like no boat with scupper, bad experiences. And that one, I remembered that old town, and I was like, okay, never again.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah. Sit inside. Yeah. A lot of guys. I'm sure you get questions too, but sit inside was all that stuff. It's like, no, it's just not as fun. Legs and sinkable and all that stuff. I mean,
yeah,
it's
I
just
mean,
all that.
for the guys up north,
Oh yeah.
hey, that's a perfect boat
Yeah.
for them.
Yeah, you
But
have to
down
actually
here,
get out of the weather a little bit.
We have that climate. We
Mhm.
have the climate to where,
Yeah.
number one, it doesn't do a whole lot for us.
Yeah.
And number two, it's just that danger factor.
Yeah. Yeah.
But-
Yep.
So, did that and then kind of worked my way up and bought some bigger boats, and with those bigger boats, getting different experiences.
And you're riding now.
Hurricane.
Okay, so you're still talking about as you're wanted to hit on Lynn Haven. Yeah, Lynn Haven is a spot that is a regularly hit, like Central Virginia Beach, awesome spot for kayaks to hit, but that current in the inlet is unexpected. People don't really get a good grip on it until they're out there. So
Well, it drains
A lot of water.
it drains like almost all of northern Virginia Beach.
yeah,
And so,
it does all of northern Virginia
Yeah.
Beach because there's no Little Creek's Norfolk, and that's a whole different body of
Yeah.
water. It doesn't even connect to that.
so you have like Rudy, which is basically north of 264.
Yeah.
It drains all of that.
Yeah.
It drains areas of Norfolk too. And that inlet is what, probably 200 yards wide?
Norfolk. Where's it going Norfolk?
Probably some of the
Trying to think of.
Northampton Boulevard areas over by Little Creek. Because you have
Well, no, it's all dammed off for No, that's still Virginia Beach. It's still Virginia Beach. Because
Okay.
it's all, from Little Creek.
So
it's-
basically,
Little Creek,
all of
Virginia
northern
Beach.
Virginia Beach.
Yeah,
then.
yeah, none of it's Norfolk,
Yeah.
because Norfolk is Little Creek from there on. There's nothing, because it's all dammed off in lakes. Like Lake Smith and Little Creek Reservoir looks like it used to be part of the inlet, or it used to be a stream or something like that. Actually, I've seen maps of this area back before Little Creek was actually it was basically just a stream.
Yeah.
And they opened it up. And what I understand is Lynn Haven was opened up. It was opened up so they can do farm stuff and get ship out.
Yeah.
Because it was closed off for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they actually opened up, I think it was during slave times, they opened it up.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what, you have about, what, a 200-yard inlet, if that?
If that, with
And so you have all that
huge
water.
amount of water, like the whole back bay, and just
Yeah.
a huge amount of water moving in and out of there on a regular 6-hour tide cycle. Yeah. It's unexpected how fast it goes, and people get caught bad out there.
Yeah.
People get thrown
People
up.
drown every
People
year
drown, they
swimming
get-
or-
kayaks they get out of they get stuck on the pilings. I remember somebody. It was two recreational people, I think in tandem, and they got flipped out and holding on to the pilings. You know, the
Yeah.
barnacles and oysters everywhere. And not only is the current bad there, it's the boat traffic. You got pilot boats that cannot stop in that current. You can't. So it's so crazy dangerous.
Yeah.
People, new guys that get into the sport, they want to go and fish that. I'm like, just fish in the back. Just do some casts. Don't mess with that bridge. You know, until you understand tide times.
Yeah. I mean, HRBT is so much safer.
Yeah. So much
And you
safer.
still have hazards out there, especially if you're new, but
Well, you also got pieces of bridge that stick straight, breaking
Yeah.
off, and rebar that sticks out. You
Yeah.
gotta really watch out at night. I used to have all that memorized. I haven't fished there in so long.
yeah, I don't fish there anymore either. But again, that's, finding your own spots.
Well, when I first started fishing, that was HRBT
Yeah.
was my spot.
Yeah.
That was my. I
Well-
mastered that area.
Well, I remember seeing a picture on your website. I don't know if it's still up there, but you had your
Oh,
visor,
HRBT. Yeah, no, it's some of my first citation years. I was still wearing that
Yeah.
visor. Yeah. I still got yeah. That was my nickname. It was still Kayak Kevin, but it was
Yeah.
like my little pseudo nickname was the HRBT Bandit, because that was my spot. I fished there steadily for 2 years. I mean, I mastered it.
Yeah.
I got everything, and what that place taught me. Not the fishing side, but paddling wise was maneuverability.
Yes.
I was using I was using a 16-foot boat, whipping it around those pilings.
Yeah.
I mean, I got fucking good, and that's how I knew.
Yeah.
That's when I was doing stuff that was like actual kayaking stuff.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't a kayaker getting into the sport. I was,
you were a fisherman getting in.
not even a fisherman. I wasn't even any of that. I mean, when I fished as a kid, I wasn't fishing when I got in a kayak. I was still a musician. I wasn't even going fishing. I
Okay.
was just I fished as a kid. Just my grandfather and dad. All we did was bottom fish for croaker and spot, and troll for blues. That was it. There was no other ways of fishing. That was it.
Yeah.
So I had no other knowledge besides that. Right. So I got into kayaking for just touring, but right with it, I started catching fish with it because my training was just get in this boat, get used to it, take a fishing pole, and go out to here. And my first fish was a croaker. So that started to learn how to paddle on us. But it was I wasn't a fisherman or a kayaker when I got into the sport. When I got in the first kayak, it was straight just I want to get in a kayak because I was a musician. Come to the end of my career.
Yeah.
And again, just like as a kid, joining the Marine Corps, joining the military was like, I gotta do something.
Yep.
And I was at a point where I'm sitting in a bar, I'm working at a bar, I'm playing at bars, and my whole life exists in bars, and I was like, I'm over it. I gotta do something. I gotta change up. It's been 10 years, it's like a 10-year change. Bam! I needed something to shock myself. I needed to shock myself out of this life that I was stuck in and sick of, really. So that's when I got my whole intention was the tour. That was it. Wasn't trying to be the fisherman in the world. I wasn't trying to be any of that. I just wanted to tour, and I was going back to music. I was just going to tour for a break. I find myself soul search break, right? Because I was, drugs and alcohol and just all that shit, and that life was cluttering me, and I wanted to do that just to clear myself. And I knew so I trained for 2 years and got dropped off in Georgia and made it back. That's basically, all right, I'm making it back.
And that's sick, man.
3 days into that, I had one time, what the fuck am I doing? That was the only time I've ever had that. 3 days in, what am I doing? 2 weeks in, I'm going to do this the rest of my life. That first tour was my boot camp.
Yeah.
It was either I'm going to do this, I'm going to really love it.
You're gonna sink or swim.
Yeah, or I'm going to not do this ever again because I almost got killed. My first tour almost got killed multiple times. Not just like I got, it got sketchy. I almost died multiple times. So I survived it and kept going. I mean, any normal person who went through what I went through my first tour would never have put your butt back in a boat again. Much less go back to those same waters. Go back to Georgia again.
It's that personality though.
Yeah.
Some people just we need that.
And there's another thing about on that is about me that I do know. I'm not trying to be like whatever, but what I've done, kind of only me could have done it. It's that type of thing that I know. That's why I go, well, anybody can do it. Well, anybody can, but you kind of have to just. I mean, I've sacrificed so much of everything, of normal every life. I knew then that was going to happen because I had the lifestyle too.
Yeah.
I had the touring lifestyle. I was a musician. I had no girls, no nothing. I was like, I wanted to tour, and so I found my way, and it was it was my boot camp.
Oh yeah. That's awesome.
So I didn't, like you as a fisherman getting it, you already was a fisherman and knew how to fish, getting into kayak fishing. I did not. I learned fishing from a kayak. So like I have never caught anything besides blues, stripers, blues, croaker, and spot before I kayak fished. Everything else was like,
and that's crazy. And some of the species that you've
well, that was through Rick, and that was the whole thing through Rick. It was after I had done it for. I started in 2001. 2003 was the first tour. I met Rick in 2004. So 4 years I have been by myself basically. I was by myself. Training on learning how to do it by what was given it to me. HRBT.
Now, was that more touring though, during that first 3 years, 4 years?
No, 2 years of learning, like going to Eastern Shore and camping out for a weekend and doing that, and then.
But I meant like more like tour prep.
Yes, absolutely. That was all I was doing. I was like, I wasn't even thinking about being fishing like being a thing. I
Just
knew
one of those things. Give yourself a little break.
Yeah. It was totally like that. But but when fishing, but I knew once I started catching fishing, especially going at the HRBT, how much badass it is. Like how much more it is. Even how cool it's cool to catch a fish out of a kayak, but to like what you can do out of it.
Oh yeah.
That's when I realized myself. I was like, oh no, this is a whole nother animal of machine. Me and this thing could do anything here. I got to figure out how to catch these fish during these magazines. That was where I was at in 2004. I got to figure this out because I know I can do this.
Yeah.
Just show me where, And that's when I met Rick.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, I want to do that too. And we're going to do it. And we found that out. But yeah. Because until I met him, I didn't even know any other kayakers. I was literally by myself. I mean, I had no friends kayaked. I knew nobody kayaked. There was no clubs. I didn't have internet. I literally was by myself at HRBT for 4 years with Harry Hasselback in a boat. That's it. Me and him hunting the light line.
Wow, that's awesome.
So when you started to, when did you get you started moving up and start getting your kayak? When did you notice your advancement? Now, all of us have that time when it goes from we're catching some fish to I'm becoming that fishing machine.
Well, I spent a few summers, in Lynn Haven, in Rudy, catching, small specks or, slot pups, whatever the case may be. And I think it was that first year your DVD came out. Now, I remember when I got out here, seeing probably one of your first articles in Chesapeake Angler talking about sheepshead fishing. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that struck me is like, okay, their spines are like nails.
Yeah.
And, so I was like, that was like, man, this is really cool. These are really cool looking fish. And I saw them caught off Seagull Pier, but I'd never caught one. And I want to do this. So literally, I went by myself, and it was like a summer and a half.
Yep.
And I remember being out there. Rob was on his boss's boat. It was a day no one should have been fishing for sheepshead at the bridge, and make a drop. And I'd been out there for 3-4 hours, and I'm just like, this is ridiculous. Then all of a sudden, I'd just lift my rod up and feel a little weight, and wham! And that was, I think, a 24.5 inch sheepshead.
Well,
So
that's
that-
the thing is, around here you catch one, you're going to be pretty much a big one. But you also started targeting them on a year that was tougher. We were just starting to have our build back after the limits got on them. So that was, you also came in a little bit harder year for it too. But yeah.
But I remember, I mean, I would do everything I could to find when they were scraping barnacles off the pilings.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
I'm going to take off work. I'm going out here. You know, nothing. But that was kind of where I said, okay, I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I didn't, you know, your first DVD, but that wasn't necessarily instruction. That was,
Right.
hey,
It was-
look at this. These are badass fish, and you can catch them from a kayak.
Yeah, the first DVD was a setup for the next two
Yeah.
DVDs, was for the sequels. The first DVD was like, here's what we do, and then 2 and 3 were, and 3 is going to be, here's how you do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
broken up. Yeah.
So that was kind of at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I wasn't asking
Well,
people.
and that's the thing, and that's the point that like I was hitting too, because you go from catching your stuff that you are comfortable with, right? It's going out of that comfort zone.
Yeah.
Now I want to go target something that I don't know. I could be in those years. I mean, like the one that I had to cover on the Chesapeake camera, that fish took 6 hours to catch. We sat there for 6 hours. I don't have that much patience anymore. I had a lot more patience when I was really wanting to catch a sheep's head.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I'll do that for reds now. but that was it was way tougher. I mean, you go out there and you would catch maybe 2, and it was holy shit, that was a phenomenal day. And it took all day of soaking baits to catch that. And yeah, it's getting better. But yeah, you've been able to come in, and that's why it took you a season and a half, or whatever it was to get it, because it took that long sometimes. And those were hard years. I mean, they came back, but yeah. So that was your jump up, and since then, now you had a year last year that was almost pushing up to the expert. It was getting to the point where Rob was like, I can't let Ragulsky come out here.
Yep.
I can't let him come.
Yeah, I mean, last year I wanted to register papers to see what I could do.
Yeah.
So I could have it on paper. No shit, here's the year I had.
Yeah.
So it started off, I did the Eastern Shore thing. Because of work and other commitments, I made 2 trips up in the spring.
That's a hard one. Yep.
And actually those 2 trips both produced fish for me.
Good. Did you get citation off of that
I
one?
didn't get it. I got like 45 3/4. 43. So
yeah.
I mean, fun fish.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I want to say mid-June when I caught my first, and that was 25-inch sheepshead.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of one of those that every year now.
Yeah.
I know I'm if I can get out there, I'm gonna get them.
That was my I have a usual 3.
Yeah.
That was one of my usual 3s. After I stopped my expert chase, my 3 that I was going to get every year to get to my masters was a red, a sheepshead, and a striper.
Yeah.
I pretty much figured I could do that a year, and that was kind of what my main targets were those anyway. Yeah. So then you got your sheepshead, and so now, did you get anything before that? This is the first
No,
one you
that
did.
was the first
paper
one.
you did. You did the first paper was that. Okay.
And caught 4 of those I released
Okay.
this year. Killed one for a charity tournament.
Right.
And then I was chasing after triggerfish
It's a hard
because we had some
big ones.
Big
But
ones.
the thing is, it's 4 pounds per kill. It's a really big trigger for around here, round. But what's tricky about the release on those is their tail is almost 3 inches tip.
Yep.
So, and I asked him, I said, it's the tip of the tail. So it is that 3 inch.
But they bite the tails off.
Yeah, so you really need one that's 4 pounds because it's really hard to get the releases. Yeah.
So I
Weird
think
fish.
that big one was 18 and a half.
Yeah, and they
this
gotta be
year.
like 20.
20.
Yeah.
And that one had a bit tail.
Yeah.
So it was a
Even the bottom,
quality
how was the
fish.
bottom fin on it too? Was the bottom fin?
Bottom fin was gone.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that would have been probably pretty good. It was 18 without the tail on it?
18 and a half without.
Yeah.
So that
Did you try to bring it in weight?
No.
No.
You know, just because of, honestly, I wanted it, but
Well, those
I
are good.
didn't know if I was going to keep them.
Yeah.
And I ended up keeping them, but then it was like, okay, let's just clean them,
Yeah.
you know, grab some beers and
Yeah.
enjoy the day.
Triggerfish are ones that I would.
But
kill you.
I don't think that it would have went for.
Would have went for. Yeah.
I think
It's got to be really big. I've seen
Yeah.
a 4 pounder. It's really big. It's holy shit. That's a big
It's
one.
almost 20 inches at the fork.
Yeah. They're giant, and they have to have a big belly on them too. It's like
Yeah.
they can't be that length, but they still have to have a lot of gut. They have to be eaten.
It
You had to
was-
been feeding them for a
Yeah,
while.
it was a solid 3-pound fish.
Yeah.
Um,
So you were hunting triggers and didn't get that, and
and really, actually, hunting the triggers because I want a citation spade.
yeah,
And
but that's
I
been
know,
that's like
and-
almost that's so hard. It's been
well, and they've been around the areas that I fish for them.
yeah.
The divers saying, hey, you know what, we're bringing them up, and there's still a lot down there. I think I was out there with Rob, and there were guys just diving off the side of their boat, and they weren't spearing anything. And they were kind of directing us.
Yeah.
Hey, you need to move, 25 foot out from the rocks, or come in 15 foot
Oh, spade.
closer.
Triggers are spades.
For the spades.
Spades, yeah. Around the island.
around the
Around
island.
the island, it's almost tougher because they can be anywhere.
Yeah, but we were still getting on them.
Yeah.
And they're like, your problem is the triggers now, you just cannot get down to them. You'll drop down and they'll look interested. And they're telling us this from underwater. They're looking interested, but a trigger comes up and boom. And we had a day where I think Rob, Matt, Tate, and myself, we probably caught 50 or 60 triggerfish
Yeah.
just trying to get to the spades.
Yeah. Triggers are fun though.
Oh, yeah.
And they're an interesting fight because they do a weird give up, blast off, stop, blast off weird fights. They do that type of fun.
Well, and that depends on how you hook them too. If you're a little bit late, you might not be landing that fish because he might have got it beyond its beak, and
Yeah.
You
In the
lost
lips.
it.
Yeah. And they have a decent lip. The connections on the lip, but you can still rip it.
Yeah.
And pull. Yeah.
So after that, my next one was my cobia, and that was going out.
That was when Rob couldn't fish with you anymore.
Yeah, that was when Rob stopped fishing with me for the year, and I don't blame him.
Yeah.
Actually, we went out, and I think that would have been his 6th species.
Right.
And so
It
we
would've
go
been.
off Sandbridge, and that was one of those days. It started off bad, and I was drinking the night before. He calls me up, hey, let's do this. Okay, man, I'll do it.
So you're already feeling bad.
No,
That's
actually, I wasn't drinking. I went up to Reedville to go pick up a reel from Wes and Kenny up at
You've been
Release.
driving all night.
So I'd been driving all night,
Yeah.
and then the night before we went up, spent all night on the James River catfishing. So
Oh.
go to work. Went like 48 hours, no sleep. And so he calls me up and he's like, hey, I'm at Oceans. Where are you at? I'm like, I'm on my way. I'm like, I just left the house.
Yeah.
And I met him out, and it was still kind of a hairy surf launch. And I just went through. I said, you know what? He's been waiting, and I didn't spend the time rigging my boat going through the surf the way I should have. So
You use a what's the
it was a Hurricane Phoenix.
Hurricane Phoenix, and now you don't have a mid hatch. You have to shimmy up to the front and put the rods
Yeah.
in that way. Yeah.
But I didn't, because I was like, you know what? We just need to get out.
Oof.
And what the problem was I was taking waves, and we had a chum bucket. I had the chum bucket tied down,
Ooh.
but
Did
it
it come out?
came out.
That's a
So
drift anchor.
It was a drift anchor.
That's so bad.
Right
In
in
surf.
the breakers. And it wasn't big surf, but it was probably 4 or 5 foot
Good enough to
surf.
smack you.
Yeah.
Yeah, good enough to roll you. 45 is good
Yeah,
enough to roll
so
you.
I ended up losing all my subduing devices for the cobia, lost a really expensive rod and reel.
So you did lose the rod reel.
Yeah. And that was actually right before, 2 days before, Rob lost a really nice rod and reel up on the James. And I had a plan just to mess with him, and like, I'm going to have fun with this guy and get him a floating rod and reel. And I was thinking about it, and I had everything planned. Then I lost that, and I was like, no,
You know,
I
I'm
can't
gonna
do that
now.
anymore. And his wasn't a mistake either. His
Right.
was an equipment failure.
Oh. Yeah.
So, end up collecting everything I can, taking a break, calming myself down, going back out.
Okay, so you did that, rolled because of
Yeah.
the thing, and
And
never
I
got out there.
I ended up telling Rob and Zach, hey, I'll catch up.
Yeah.
It's just, I need a little bit.
Yeah.
Get my composure. Running out on the surf, trying to find this $400 combo. Yeah, it was rough, but we make it out there. We set up our chum for the cobia, and Zach started getting sick. And he's like, man, I gotta go in. And trying to convince him, no, you don't. And he's like, I gotta go in.
Just gotta puke out. I mean, that point,
Yeah.
not just puke, right? You
Yeah.
You should just puke, right?
So
I've never been seasick.
So
is he
he went
hungover
back.
sick or is he seasick?
I think he's seasick.
Okay.
Well, and I think he had a stomach bug too. So I know it was bad. So, but I'm getting seasick now, and it was sporty.
yeah.
And I needed water.
It didn't look that bad in the picture.
No,
of the cobia.
it didn't.
It didn't look
didn't.
like this doesn't look like the same day I'd seen the picture.
Yeah, but it was. I was green,
Yeah.
and I lost all my water and everything. So I'm just sitting
Oh.
there, and I'm like, "This is horrible." And Rob is doing his thing, and I'm like, "Man, I don't want to cost Rob anything. I've been too much of a burden up to this point." And that's when we had a kind of a crossroads moment. Let's move. No, I'm staying here.
Right.
And that's when I hooked up with the fish, called him over.
And you had seen him, so this was a
Yeah.
whole sight casting situation.
Well, so I had my baits out, and we'd been dealing with sharks all morning because we're in the chum slick.
Right.
And I have my chin down on my chest, like, oh God, this day needs to end.
Breathing, yeah.
I'm out here to witness Rob. That's why I'm
Yeah.
here.
Yep.
And I hear zip zip. And
Oh,
I'm
so
like,
what was the time? Was it another time when y'all saw him sight casting or something like that?
that was the reds that we saw.
I thought there was a time when you saw him sight casting, or maybe this is the one where you hooked him and
Yeah.
you had fish with him. Okay, yeah,
So-
this is see,
so-
it's confusing because we told the story last 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago, and we're telling it again. I'm like, didn't this? But this is okay.
So I heard the drag, zip zip, and I just look up and I'm like, I don't want to deal with another shark.
Yeah.
And I see a school of cobia on the surface. I'm crossing my fingers. Please, please, please be it. Take the rod out of the holder, set the drag up, get some line back, and right when I do, he just feels that little pinch of the hook and takes off, sets himself, and it's like, okay, this is a fight. I'm screaming to Rob, cobia, cobia. I don't know what he heard, but he was kind of paddling a little slack.
Yeah.
I'm like, fucking cobia. And that's when he really kind
Pick
of
it
puts
up.
it in gear.
Yeah.
And it was a real vertical fight. We were out deeper water,
Yeah.
probably, around 50 foot.
Yeah.
And up and down. So I finally get it back up and he sees it and he's getting excited.
But didn't they have some with them?
And well, during the fight, I fought that fish for about an hour.
Was it that long?
Well, he kept bringing fish
Okay, so
up
you
with him.
you were trying
Yeah.
to.
So
yeah,
it's like I can keep doing
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
I can just lock in and let him drag me around. But
It's the same thing
we
I
came
do
out-
when I hook a red or something when the guys haven't got on yet.
Yeah.
I'll hook him and just be calm. Let him just not really fight. Just don't fight him and he'll just try to take you along.
Well, see, I fought him enough to where I didn't want him to take me forever, all over.
I'm surprised even with all. Usually when you fight them hard, that's when the others leave them.
Well,
That's what was
I
weird.
wasn't fighting him too hard. I was using a medium heavy action
Okay, so
Torres.
yeah, you couldn't
So
really.
I
yank
didn't
him.
have the backbone to really pressure him.
Right, you weren't yank. You weren't yank. Yeah.
But I was still putting pressure on him.
Yeah.
And he came up and Rob made a couple casts and it was about 50 minutes into the fight
Yeah.
where that was when the nicest fish that we had saw with that one
What's
came up. And it was just the two of them. And Rob pitches a live spot and I'm like, oh, that's going to be it. Fish turns toward that spot. And I'm like, oh, here we go, double. And I should have kept my mouth shut because that fish went to that spot and for whatever reason decided to cut back to the cobia.
Sometimes they don't want it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just don't want it. They want to look at it.
So we got it in and that was one of the things because I spent quite a bit of money. I like cobia. I don't kill too many fish.
With that
And-
one, you shouldn't, you don't have to feel bad about that one because it's a fast grower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I felt bad because I went out there to witness Rob.
Yeah, well, I imagine you felt bad about that.
And then I was like, okay, what do I do here? And Rob's like, no, man, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Well,
And-
well, also because he still has another, it was still summer.
Yeah.
Still had a little more shots, all that stuff. Yeah. But
So bring that one
still,
in.
he was sucking it up, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, no. I mean, and even later on in the year, I mean, he's apologizing. Hey, man, I'm sorry. And I'm like, dude, you have nothing to apologize for. I'm like, I'm sorry. And to this day, like, had he not got his tog for number
You would have
6,
still been. Oh, I believe it.
like-
I believe it. I believe it. I believe it. Oh, it would have been really fucked up that day if Alex caught one.
Yeah.
I quit fishing because I was just like, one, I'm kind of aggravated. One, and then two, I don't want to catch one, a good one.
Yeah.
I really all of us should stop fishing. And so I started filming, which was good because I happened to be holding the camera when Rob hit it. So I've got handheld shots that I'm using for it. It's excellent. But yeah. But the whole scenario was funny the way it went down with Rob. But yeah, if he wouldn't have got that,
Yeah, it would have been bad.
yeah. Did you get another one? You got
So after that, we went back out to the ocean front in the fall migration south for reds.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Oh, that's right. Because you didn't get a red yet.
I didn't
That's
get a
right.
red yet, so went out one weekend. Saturday, glass calm. We're catching reds. We have false albies all around us, and I'm just having that rod ready, bail open. I'm gonna make a cast right now, and by the time that lure's in the air, those fish are still like 500 yards away. But I got 5 that day, between 44 and 47 and a half, something like that.
Yeah. That's a good day out there. That's a fun day out there. That's a good school of them you were in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it was 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it got to the point where I was out there with Matt Anderson, and he had sharks all day. He had 2 reds that pulled hooks on him. And it was like, I'm done. And then it got to the point, Matt, we've been out here for a while. Nothing's biting anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like, we need to call it. And he's like,
Yeah, he was trying for it though. He was going for it. He was looking for his red. He hasn't got a red yet, I guess. He hasn't got a big red.
No, he not in Virginia.
Okay.
Down in North Carolina.
Okay,
has.
yeah, he is. Okay.
But then I call Seth and Alex, who live up in Richmond, and hey, you guys need to come down here tomorrow.
And
And
they had a
they
good
do.
day, yep.
And that day, the fish weren't in. They were about 500 yards away from where we had been catching them, in like that same depth line. And we were out where we were at the day before.
Yeah.
And we didn't see them, and
Yeah.
I was working my way back in.
Yeah.
And they were a ways behind me, and
You
kind of
ran
just
into 'em
taking
again.
their time. And I ran into a big school, and so we saw them on top, and I pitched a bait in there.
Oh, it's on top shit, yeah.
Yeah.
I've not seen him on top out there yet.
Yeah. And at first I thought we dealt with red tide the day before,
Yeah. So
or not red tide, but that algae.
Right. Yeah.
And
yeah.
then-
When we say red tide around here, but it's an algae bloom. It's not really the same red tide as in Florida. We just say it that way because it's easy to say. It's a cop out.
So I'm thinking that's what I'm seeing ahead of me,
Yeah.
and I get closer, and it's
And it becomes
not
a
as
little
dark.
more
It's a little bit more.
goldy.
Yeah.
a little more
little copper.
shiny. Yeah.
But I'm still not sure, and I'm seeing it move, and that's when I'm like, okay.
Yep.
And I'm calling up to them,
Yeah.
but I had spooked probably the middle of the school.
Ooh, bad.
So the front of the school goes, the back of the school stays, and then you have that group in the middle that's
You
just
can't-
like
You can't even
scattered.
fuck with them. Yeah. You
So
can't even
I
pass
just-
into them. Yeah.
I back up just ever so slightly,
Yeah.
and that back school kind of just moseys up to where the same direction as the head of the school. I pitch a bait in there, and I got my 50,
Choo. Yeah.
which was a mark that I'd been looking
Yeah.
for a while.
Yeah.
And
It's good because we're gonna be able to do that yearly. If we're a red hunter, you're gonna be able to catch a 50-incher, at least one. I caught 3 last year, and it was more than I ever caught. Yeah.
And then Alex, ended up coming down. He started putting his butt in gear
Yeah.
when he saw that.
Yeah.
And he hooked up with, I think, a 48.
Yeah.
I had another line right off the back of my boat,
Yeah.
probably 3 foot down, and I had a red take that one while I'm fighting that 50.
Mm-hmm.
And poor Seth, he
Still nothing. He didn't get.
nothing. He
anything.
got blanked this year.
That's weird. That's
But
all right. We'll get him on.
he
We'll get
was-
him on one this spring.
Well, and he's
For the
got
summer.
on one before, and I don't feel too bad.
Okay.
And he missed the spring run because he was in Hawaii catching
I know.
billfish.
And I told him, dude. I told him. I said, why did you get married during the middle of drum season? Now the rest of your life. Now the rest of your life. That's the anniversary.
Yep.
You're gonna have to do something on that day in the middle of drum season for the rest of your life, dude.
Oh yeah. But that was funny.
We gotta
And
wrap
then
it up.
yeah, picked up some nice specs.
Well, specs is we gotta wrap it up, but specs is a whole nother target for you. That's one. I think that's kind of your main target.
Yeah.
For the most part, seems like you really spend a lot of time on it. You hunt them well. You were targeting a 30-incher and you got a 28,
29.
29.
Yeah.
So that's an actual spec hunter for around here. You're hunting those. You put your time in, and that's a whole nother day. We're going to talk about that and your website, which we didn't get to tonight.
Yeah, man.
We talked about the Marine Corps. We'll come in here with a little bit more intention next time and talk about alloutkayakfishing.com. But if you're on Facebook, you can check out William Ragulsky's on Facebook, and also All Out Kayak Fishing is on Facebook also, and alloutkayakfishing.com. It's a conglomerate. Money writers from all over the world. It's badass. Check it out. We're gonna get in more detail with that next time.
Right on, man.
Thank you, man. Again.
Thanks, dude.
And we got it recorded, so we're good to go.
Awesome.
And we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for hanging out.